take orders from anyone at all. Maybe I need to show you what I'm capable of.
Despite people wanting a cameo or introduction for Sentry in Brave New World, Marvel is choosing to introduce this character in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. Played by Lewis Pullman, Sentry is the result of a super soldier serum that gives one the same powers as a million exploding suns. Called the Golden Sentry Serum, it was created by a multi-nation organization called Project Sentry. You see, with the backdrop of so many Avengers-level events, the US and Canada joined hands to create a new version of Captain America's Super Soldier Serum, which was supposed to be 100,000 times more potent than the previous one. And in this video, we're going to explore everything there is to explore about Project Sentry and see how its products affected Robert Reynolds, who is also sometimes called the Superman of Marvel Comics. Oh, and before we begin, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Those 2 small clicks from you will help us tremendously in bringing you more of these marvelous videos. So now, let's get into it. Project Sentry Explored! As the story goes, sometime in March of 1947, a joint operation of the United States Project Rebirth and Canada's Department K, with the help from their respective governments, opened a secret research facility in western Pennsylvania. This is what Project Sentry primarily was, and certain former Nazi research scientists were transported to this facility and were given immunity under the same conditions as Wernher von Braun was given for his work with NASA. With experimental data for tests performed on live human subjects, the Germans came with experience and know-how. A secret Canadian bio-research program that you may have heard of, known as Weapon X, supplied raw data and materials, including genetic coding information and specialized tanks, to house floating test subjects. The Americans gave them a place to work and one special ingredient, a so-called super soldier serum. We know that this serum had been tried before, most notably on a young American named Steve Rogers. That test had been an unqualified success, though the formula and its creator were both lost. And the Americans, as the comic says, were being so typically unwilling to leave a good thing alone that they had embarked upon a program to recreate and improve upon the serum to 100,000 times its original strength. By the time 20 or 30 years had passed, Project Sentry had lost its original form. The Americans were now fighting the communists. No one could remember who was doing what. The project became compartmentalized so that no one oversaw it in its entirety. Control became lax. Some of the specific research work was outsourced. What I mean is, by now there were almost 1,000 sub-projects running under Project Sentry. Moreover, private contractors had taken over a lot of the lab work that these sub-projects carried out, so as of now, it's rather difficult to figure out where exactly all the resources ended up over the several decades since Project Sentry's inception. One might also find it difficult to find out where the project has ultimately led in current times. What happened with Robert Reynolds? Over 10 years later, Robert Reynolds found himself breaking into the lab of an unnamed professor, desperate and hooked on meth. Inside the lab, Bob stumbled onto something way beyond ordinary drugs, a glowing compound named the Golden Sentry Serum. Acting impulsively, Reynolds chugged down the serum, gaining powers equal to 1,000,000 exploding suns. Tragically, this surge of energy didn't just elevate him, it also killed his partner and several lab guards. Despite the devastation, he was hooked on more than drugs now. He begged the professor to cook up another batch. Horrified by what they'd accidentally created, Project Sentry scientists convinced Robert to test his newfound powers at their secure facility. Predictably, containment didn't last. Bob quickly broke free. Driven by an innate urge to do good, Bob suited up in a homemade costume and emerged as the heroic figure the world needed, the Sentry. One of his first acts was putting his childhood bully firmly in his place. Unlike many superheroes who were treated as freaks or outsiders, the Sentry quickly became a beacon of hope and acceptance, widely admired by society. Although the Sentry's first appearance was in the year 2000, he was retconned to be one of the few rare heroes operating before the Fantastic Four took the spotlight. His powerful allies included big names like Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, the Hulk, Spider-Man, and Professor X. He quickly figured out Spider-Man's true identity and mentored the young hero. He fought alongside the Fantastic Four against Dr. Doom, battled his arch-nemesis the General alongside the X-Men, and even befriended the misunderstood Hulk. During his heroics, Reynolds also found personal happiness, marrying Lindy, the love of his life. Lindy loved the excitement of being married to a superhero, but soon uncovered Robert's dark addiction. Troubled by the implications of Robert's power, she feared that they had unleashed something catastrophic, later confessing she should have stopped him right from the start. The Sentry's perfect life took a dark twist with the arrival of a sinister entity known as the Void. This shadowy menace preyed on people's deepest fears, leaving chaos and death wherever it appeared. Scout, Sentry's young sidekick, was nearly killed. The Hulk was driven into an uncontrollable rampage. The Void's most horrifying act was the massacre of over 1 million people in Manhattan. Shockingly, Reynolds discovered the Void was actually his dark alter ego, a twisted manifestation of his powers. Realizing he had become his own worst enemy, the Sentry collaborated with Reed Richards and Doctor Strange to devise a drastic solution: a global memory wipe. Everyone on Earth, including themselves, forgot the Sentry ever existed, causing the Void to vanish. Digging deeper into the past revealed yet more secrets. Reynolds had been captured by his enemy, the General, who enlisted the mutant illusionist Mastermind to implant a mental virus in his mind. This virus generated horrifying visions, convincing Reynolds that using his power would summon a devil set on global destruction. As a subconscious plea for help, Reynolds projected his suppressed memories into comic book writer Paul Jenkins, who unwittingly documented the Sentry's hidden past in comic book stories. Years passed, but the memories and the Void returned. A rampage across Europe saw the Void slaughtering numerous heroes from the superheroes of Europe. Desperate, Sentry reached out to old friends, but only the Hulk remembered their past. When the Void struck Manhattan again, the heroes rallied to protect Reynolds and the city. Sentry and Reed reactivated the Watchtower, which repelled the Void and erased global memory of the Sentry once more. Following these traumatic events, Project Sentry shut down permanently, destroying all remaining samples of the serum. The staff feared the catastrophic potential of Reynolds, or anyone else, misusing the serum again. Years later, Reynolds resurfaced when Norman Osborn recruited him for the Dark Avengers, promising help for his mental issues. Osborn gave Reynolds a modified Golden Serum variant, unintentionally strengthening the Void's hold over him. Meanwhile, Scout, Sentry's former partner, tried to claim the power himself. He teamed up with Cranio, an old villain, obtaining serum notes from the professor's grandniece. Their plan, to recreate the serum and dismantle Reynolds, backfired disastrously. Reynolds merged fully with the Void. Scout suffered severe side effects from ingesting the serum, and Cranio was neutralized. Determined to prevent further tragedy, Sentry burned the notes forever. Later, S.H.I.E.L.D. sent Sentry to subdue a rogue Iron Man. The crafty Tony Stark hacked Sentry's internal alert system, called the Centrally Located Organic Computer, or CLOC, overwhelming Reynolds with fake emergencies and incapacitating him temporarily. Public admiration for Sentry continued, with newspapers dubbing him the Golden Guardian. Yet, internally, Reynolds' mental struggles worsened. Denying that he, Sentry, and the Void were the same, Reynolds tried to contain the Void within a vault at the Watchtower. Prompted by CLOC, psychiatrist Dr. Cornelius Worth investigated the vault, but discovered only a mirror and an empty chair. Confused and panicked, Reynolds fled to the amusement park where he first gained his powers. Cornelius confronted Reynolds at the park, where the Void revealed a disturbing possibility. Reynolds' true form might actually be the Void, with the heroic Sentry merely a manifestation born from guilt. With fragmented memories split between them, Reynolds wasn't sure that the Void was wrong. After briefly chasing off the Void, Sentry admitted to Cornelius that subconsciously he wanted the Void exposed, freeing him from hiding. He confessed to Cornelius the truth behind gaining his powers. He had stolen and ingested the Golden Serum as a teen, simply seeking a high. Reynolds had always known the Void wasn't truly locked away. His belief kept the illusion, and thus the world's safety intact. Troubled, Reynolds sought clarity from Doctor Strange, who tricked him into an elaborate illusion of an ordinary life without heroes. Sentry eventually broke free, confronting the professor who created the original serum, then traveled to Antarctica to finally face the Void. The Void dropped a bombshell revelation. The serum Reynolds consumed was an ultra-concentrated form of Captain America's super soldier formula, making him dangerously powerful. The secret alarmed the government, who tried and failed to eliminate him. Infuriated, Sentry threw the Void into the sun, declaring independence from his destructive counterpart. Defiant as ever, the Void promised he would return. Alternate Reality Golden Sentry Serum. In the alternate reality of Earth 1611, Professor Cornelius created the Golden Sentry Serum while attempting to replicate the super soldier formula. Unaware they were overheard by delivery boy Robert Reynolds, Cornelius and colleague Burton Dubois discussed the serum. Believing he needed to stop an incoming Russian missile, Reynolds drank all of the serum, acquiring massive power and becoming the heroic Sentry. Cranio later explained that the serum actually made humans capable of hosting infinite interdimensional energy from a dimension repeatedly destroyed by the cosmic entity Destroyer Darkmass. Users of this power inadvertently created secondary timelines like the Void, maintaining cosmic balance through their actions. So yeah, that was Project Sentry. It was an extremely ambitious project and not the only attempt to recreate the Super Soldier Serum, but perhaps one of the most disastrous. That's all we've got for you on the Sentry, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.